Welcome to April's Technique class with Michelle Last. The card I'm going to show you how to make now is this card here. The life doesn't have to be perfect to be wonderful, and this is what the inside of the card looks like. So I'm going to talk you through. You get your pack, and inside your pack you've got a piece of 21 centimetre by 21 centimetre baked brown sugar cardstock, but you've also got the card pack here, and you've also got a strip of the pattern stack as well, and we'll refer back to that in a moment because that's what you're going to use to make your own envelope, which has a deep edge so that you can actually fit the depth of the card. And as you can see, the depth of the card is quite big because it has the buttons on it, so this is going to all fit inside your card here. Okay, so inside your pack, again, you're going to receive your everything you need, and it should be on the outside if it's for the outside of the card, and the inside if it's for the inside of the card. So you've got your card blank here. I believe this is 4" by, no, it's 5" square card, and I've cut that from Naturals white cardstock. This is for the inner section, and that obviously mats and layers onto there like that. And then on the sample card we've got a little strip of the patterned paper, which I'm going to show you and ask you to cut off to put on the inside, so don't forget to do that, and then a little leaf and button on the inside. So they are for the inside pieces. I'm not going to show you how to do that, you can just stick those in. That is for the front of your card, and what you're going to do is you're going to be sticking this, which is cut ready to mat a layer, onto your pattern paper like this. Now, I already explained that you need to cut a little strip off here to go on the inside, so I'm just going to quickly grab my trimmer, cut off a tiny little slither, and it only needs to be a little slither, and that will go on the inside of my card. Okay, so what you then need to do is ink 3 of the edges of both pieces of patterned paper. It would make sense to ink this edge, this edge, and this edge, and this edge, this edge, and this edge. You don't need to ink this section because this is then going to go over the top like that. Okay, so you're going to ink your edges. I'm not going to do that with you now, and then you're going to stick that in place with an even gap top side and side, and then you're going to stick that in place with an even gap bottom side and side, and it doesn't matter if you've got this little gap here. Then what you've got is you've got some cardstock which I have already embossed and cut for you. I use the Delicate Doilies embossing folder, which gives that lovely lacy effect, and I've used that on baked brown sugar as well. And then the little scallop edge die is designed to cut that perfectly under the embossing. So that will cut that out, that scallop out for you. Now, if you'd have done this in Coordinations cardstock, or if I had, you'd be able to sand over this and expose a lighter colour, which is what I've done on my card. Now you've got this on just normal cardstock, so if you were to sand it, it's not going to be a slightly different colour core on the inside, so it's not going to be much of a colour difference. So what some of the ladies did today was they got their ink daubers and they inked the raised section so it was slightly darker, or you can just leave it as it is. And all you're going to do is, once your cardstock is in place, you're going to put it where you would like it to be and fold it over the back. Oh, I've forgotten something. Before you stick this on, what you're going to do is put glue on the top and at the bottom and stick your bit of ribbon and just secure it on the back like that, just like you did on one of the other cards. And then you're going to stick that over the top like that, fold over the edges, and then you're going to stick that to your card front. Now, one thing I want to point out is when you stick your ribbon top to bottom, try not to make it too close to the edge. Try and come in a little bit, because I try to make mine just come out of the top of the tag. You don't have to, but if you like that look, then you might want to just bring it in a little bit and think about where your tag's going to go. So I'm going to move those elements to one side, and I'm now going to talk you through this tag section and the tag detail. So you've all got a piece of soft sky cardstock here, and we're going to use it in the tag topper punch. Now, the recess of the tag topper punch is actually 2 inches. So there's 2 ways of doing this. You could stamp your sentiment first in the bottom section of the soft sky cardstock, and the reason it's the bottom section is that we need the top section to be able to put this detail on and get it central. If you don't get it central, you might find that you need to cut it down, and you might end up with a strange shape. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get it to 2 inches wide right from the start. I've given you more than you need, but I'm just going to cut it down to 2 inches wide, and I know that will fit directly into my punch. Feed it all the way in, punch it out, and I've got that nice tag top. And then I've used my corner rounder. I use a corner chomper, and I'm just going to corner round the edges. Okay, and then what you need to do is stamp your sentiment in the centre of this using baked brown sugar ink. Now you can use a Stamp-O-Majig, or you can do it by eye. And where's my baked brown sugar ink? I can't get my hands on the baked brown sugar ink, so I'm just gonna go soft suede. Don't think you'll notice much of a difference. And life doesn't have to be perfect to be wonderful. I'm just inking that up, and what I always do is I test the edge of my stamp with the line on the grid paper to see if I've mounted them straight. So if I look at that, that actually isn't mounted straight. I don't know if you can see that. So that means when I think it's straight, I need to just turn it slightly. Now this is because I'm taking shortcuts and I'm not using my Stamp-O-Majig. Now, because I tilted it slightly, that's good enough for me. So I've got my sentiment on the tag. And now what I'm going to show you how to do is do this section and the leaves. Now this section is not related or touching the stripe of ribbon. It looks like it's all together, but it's not. So what you've got is you've got another bit of ribbon in your pack, and what I want you to do is to fold it into 3. Like that, just crudely, roughly. You're then going to grab the linen thread, and I'm just going to tie it around and tie a knot. I'm just going to pull it tight, and you can see that that's not in the right place on my ribbon, but I'm just going to now move it along until it is in the right place, pull it tight and tie a knot. Okay, now I'm going to just trim off so that I've got roughly the same front length either side. Then I'm going to find my button, and I'm going to thread the linen thread up through the base of one hole of my button, and the other piece of linen thread up through the opposite hole of the button. Sorry, it fell out. Pull it tight, tie a knot. So I'm going to do a double knot just because I don't want it to come apart like that. Okay, then I'm going to just trim off my ends. Just sort of encourage the ends to fray a fraction. At this point you can now start to pull it slightly, make your bow look like you want it to look like, and make the bottom section look like you want it to look. And then can trim it off at an angle wherever you want that to be. And then that will stick here like that. And then to make the leaves, you've got a very small scrap of green cardstock in your pack. I don't seem to have it in my pack, so I'm just going to very quickly cut a piece. What you want to do is, with the piece of green you've got in your pack, you want it about approximately 1.5 centimetres. Do a score line on a piece of green. Can you see that? So that's a 1.5 centimetres. I've got my score line. So, and then I'm going to cut it off at approximately 3 centimetres. This is just approximate. It doesn't matter if it's more or less. So that I've got a little bit of cardstock that's got a score line down the middle like that. If you have a paper crimper at home, you'll need a paper crimper to get this effect if you want to get the spines in the leaves. If you just want to make leaves, that's absolutely fine. But what you're going to do is you're not going to lay it flat in the crimper like that, or vertical in the crimper like that. You're actually going to feed the base of the little spine there in at an angle. See if I can get that. show you that. My arm's getting in the way. Like that. Okay, we're going to feed it in at an angle. So as you start to feed it in, like that, and you turn, it will start feeding the paper. I started in the middle of the crimper. If I started at that edge, paper would get caught, and the same with the end. So just feed it through, and then it will feed through a nice little crimped piece of paper. And all you're simply then going to do is cut a leaf shape. And you can experiment with that. So there's a little leaf shape with the little spines for the leaves. If that's too fat for you, that's very easy to change. You just take off some of the roundness, make it even smaller. That's just one of the leaves there. Okay, so what I've got is I've cut 2 leaves, I've inked the edges, and I cut a little tiny one for the inside and inked the edges. So you're just going to grab whatever leaves you wish, ink the edges, and then just using glue dots you're going to stick them together like that with the little button over the top, and that would be your finished tag. Then all I did was I stuck dimensionals on the back of the tag, stuck it in place on the card, and just tied some more linen thread on the buttons, but you don't have to, and just stuck a dimensional or a glue dot in place just to stick them in all together. So that would be the elements of your card. I'm now going to show you how we make the envelope. So the envelope, I've got you a piece of baked brown cardstock, which is 21 centimetres by 21 centimetres, so it's perfectly square. You're going to get your envelope punch board, and the measurements you need to remember are 4 1/8 and 4 3/8. So 4 1/8, line it up to the 4 1/8 on your envelope punch board. Always try and get in the habit of punching. I'm sorry, I'm going to have to turn this towards me slightly because I can't actually get my arm where it needs to be to score, and then score. Okay, so I've done that once, and that's what the piece of paper looks like. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it by 90 degrees, and then I'm going to turn it by another 90 degrees, so 180 degrees in total. It's very important that you turn the cardstock rather than flip the cardstock, and this is because we are making a square envelope. So I recommend these steps for a square envelope, but when you're doing a rectangular envelope you only have to do the measurement once the first time, not on all sides. So now we're going to go back to, I've just realised I've forgotten something, but I'll go back to it. So 4 1/8 again, punch and score. And now we're not going to measure with the 4 1/8 measurement. What we're going to do is we're going to line up this score guide here, this little prong, can you see that there? And we're going to line it up with the score line we've already got in our cardstock. We're going to punch, and we're going to score. And then we're going to turn it round and do the same on the other side that hasn't been done. So punch and score. Okay, so that would be just a normal flat square envelope, but we want to add a bit of depth to this. So what we're going to do is repeat the process, but instead of doing it at 4 1/8, we're going to do it 4 3/8, which means that I've actually, the depth of my envelope is going to be 1/4 of an inch. So punch, score, turn and turn again, 4 3/8. Now when I said I made a mistake, it was that I could have done 4 1/8, 4 3/8 and done them at the same time, but I forgot. So we're going to line up the score lines again and just finish off and get the last, because we've done it on 2 sides. We don't need to do it on all 4. Oh, I've done that one. What am I doing? Woohoo! Get myself in a pickle here. No, I've done that one. No, I know what I'm doing. Sorry, it's because I'm not in front of the envelope punch board. It's making me see things that aren't there. There we go. So now you can see I've got a double score line on every section. The last thing you need to do is just trim out this little bit here. So if I just fully let my scissors go up to the edge of the cut piece, we'll just take out that tiny little dink there. Can you see that? And we're going to do that on all of these pieces. And this will create our perfect envelope ready to house our project, and it will fit perfectly. And last one. I'm just going to show you some tips with assembling this. So this will be our envelope. If you wish, I don't know if you know, but the envelope punch board also rounds corners in this top section here. So I'm just going to round the corner, which will be the top of my envelope. So that means that this is my side, so just reinforce your corners. If you want to, use a bone folder. But what we want to do, it's really important that we've got a really nice right angle there. And what sometimes happens is people will press this edge. Trying to get the angle. So can you see that there it's pressed, so as it's not at a right angle, it's pressed flat. So to help you with that, you might want to get your card. I'm going to turn it over so I've got a nice flat surface and put it inside my envelope, and that will give me something to lean on. Otherwise you press this down and the edges of your card can collapse in on themselves a little bit. So that's just going to get me knowing where my envelope looks like. It's going to get me nice straight edges. I want my edges to be at a right angle, so I want to make sure that they're nice and straight. And then you're just going to put, I'm going to put a bit of glue here and a bit of glue here. Use whatever glue you'd prefer. I know glue is such a very personal choice. And I'm going to try and line it up here and also line it up here. And then we'll have, just reinforce this crease. We've got our envelope ready to go with our card inside, and then you've got your nice strip of card, which is, where's my strip of patterned paper? Grab one of yours just for a moment. Oh, I can see it now. So you've got a strip of paper, and basically all that's for, see the opening there? That is to go all the way around, stick in place. Don't go too super tight, because what we're going to do is we're going to slide this on and off to open and close it. But just close, tight enough that it keeps it closed, and then that will just be your closure for your envelope. So that's the next card, and I hope you enjoy making that one. Thanks for watching.